And so in our lives, and there'll be many moments in our lives whereby we get this calling. So I want to say, when we talk about intuition, intuition is about feeling, not so much about the thinking, but more about the deeper sense and the feeling. We get this feeling in our life. We are traveling in the pathway, and it's a familiar pathway. It's a pathway of life that we are used to taking every day, the familiar path. So every day we wake up with this familiar routine, this familiar lifestyle, this familiar way of being. And then we come to a crossroad. So the crossroad is an invitation to take the path less traveled, to take to a pathway that goes somewhere that, right, I've never taken this pathway before. And so it is an exploration into a new thing. And what's happening is that you take this pathway, that archetype is then wanting to manifest. And so what triggers this crossroad? It can be a dramatic event. It can be a quiet event. So example will be dramatic. Right, I had a friend, very strong servant archetype. So it's always self-sacrificing. Your needs are more important than mine. And I always want to sacrifice, and I want to meet your needs. Well, you're important, you're important, you're important. And then always this giving. So he married, and the wife, king archetype.
Oh.
So come on, do this, do that. And the servant will follow. Perfect match. Perfect match, king and the servant. So then what happens, as usual, in all relationships, you go into a crisis. And what has happened was that the wife got into an affair. All right. And then the wife says, that is a real man for me. You're not the real man. Okay, wow. I don't know why I'm married to you. Because you're just a weakling, a person that just comes and anything I do, you say, you do, you don't take charge. You're not the leader. That man is the real man. He's the leader. It's basically a mirror of herself, the king also, that she fell in love with, right? And then so now she looks at the husband and then says, you are not my husband. We're not meant to be together. He's my destiny. And basically, the dark shadow from the wife came out. And then so basically, that full narcissistic abuse was coming out from the wife. And then so my friend was being abused, emotionally abused in the relationship. So until cannot tahan anymore, it was escalated, all to the point until when the affair took place really, then he cannot tahan. Came to me for help. So I saw all this. And then I asked him, how do you want to proceed? And then he says, because of his giving type and all that, behind this monster, he says, behind that monster, I see a lost kitten trying to find herself. And I want to be the person to rescue the kitten. So despite all the abuse, he doesn't want to walk away. He wants to still continue to see the wife in good light and want to rescue her. But then there's all the abuse that he cannot take the abuse. And then I said, okay, what needs to happen here is that you are this loving, giving person to another person, your wife. But when your wife is being abusive, those times, you are this warrior, right, who stands up and says no to abuse. And so this is where you stand up, you stand your ground. And when a wife is too much, you're not coming from anger or whatever, but you're coming from, look, there are lines about how a human being treats another human being, and you've crossed that line. And I want you to know that, I don't tolerate toxicity, and then I don't tolerate all this. And so there is a kind of, and you need a warrior to do that. And so this was where, what I mean by a triggering life event that is drama, the drama of this affair that's going on that triggers an archetype to then want to come out. It can be a quiet event in your life, doesn't have to be drama. It can be, okay, you have already finished university, all right, you already graduated, you already got your degree. What career will you pursue? Then sometimes a certain archetype will want to come out. This archetype will want to say, you know, oh, okay, why don't you pursue this particular career? And then it requires, you know, so like for me, I remember I want to pursue in career of always in mental health, in psychology, mental health. That calling has always been there. It's always been a quiet calling during those times about what shall I do next? And then that sense that I should go into this caring, into mental health caring, as well, that it comes in. It comes in. Now, when the calling comes, it's not really a thought. It's not a thought that comes to your head. You know, I should be this, I should be that, I should do this, I should do that. It's not really a thought. It's actually a sense of feeling. I feel like this is how I should be being. I feel like this is how I should express myself. So it's a feeling, you know, when the calling comes out, rather than a thought. And this X is taking on a character that you didn't play before. Like my friend who is always that giving servant, and being a warrior for him is like totally new and totally very uncomfortable, out of character. So at times this calling, this invitation is to take on a character in which you are not familiar with, not comfortable with. Yeah, because the archetype is wanting to grow and it's not grown yet. Details how to do this, where to do this, which avenue, which career to do this. This sense, this calling won't tell you. Archetypes, they are not bothered with details. They don't want details. Archetype just wants a channel to express the energy. You just provide the channel and the energy will come out. It doesn't matter which channel. So if it's a teaching archetype, it doesn't matter so much whether you are a teacher in school, whether you are a motivator online, right? Whether you become a personal tutor to somebody else, or whether you hold Tai Chi classes in the morning, right? What's happening is that there is a channel for you to express that teacher archetype to come out. Right? So the details of how to express this archetype, the archetype is not concerned as long as there's a channel for it to be expressed. When the calling comes, when the invitation comes, because it throws us out of character, we are scared of doing this. We feel stupid to do this. We feel that it's a waste of time. We feel we cannot do this, or we feel, you know, I don't know how to do this. Even if I want to, you know, go down this route, I don't know how to start. I don't know where to begin. And so what happens is, of course, we will reject the calling. Our ego is very scared. Our ego wants familiarity, you know, wants assurance, wants stability, and this threatens stability. Our ego will reject it. And then what will happen is that you will hear this same calling again and again at different times in your life. The same sense that I should be this, coming knocking in your door again and again. But this is also, again, your intuition and listening to your intuition, right? The calling.